You were talking about 129 on the underground bases and about half of them being used to house the aliens. What are the other half used for?
The other half are used strategically by different military organizations, mostly Army and Air Force and Navy, for research and development laboratories predominantly, and also medical research and development laboratories and chemical weapon laboratories. Cattle mutilations are government-sponsored alien operations and have been since they were first started in 1967. The upshot of that was we allow the aliens to extract glandular secretions from animals, mixing them with their own. In exchange, we'll give them plutonium products for their drive, for their spaceship drives, among making alien elements for them, and they give us the biological weapons. Isn't that a nice, horrible scenario?
Hello! I wanted to discuss now about extraterrestrials, UFOs, and specifically gray aliens and Phil Schneider. So let's start off with Phil Schneider, or Philip Schneider. He's quite an obscure character. I guarantee a lot of you haven't even heard of this guy. But just kind of summarize his life. He was kind of hired to work at some base, some underground facility, whatever, and he was kind of caught up in that work. And when he was mining underground, he kind of struck some tunnel pathway. He ventured into that tunnel pathway and he encountered gray aliens. I can't remember the exact amount of gray aliens he saw, but he encountered them and he kind of paralyzed him with fear. And so of course he got out a gun, he started shooting at these gray aliens. He actually allegedly said that he struck one and one of them kind of just fell and died, but the other one kind of started to get his hand out and kind of swirl around its chest. It pulled out some blue energy beam and it threw it at Phil Schneider, and he had a lot of damage from this. His fingers were kind of lasered off. Along with other parts of his body, he was kind of near death until someone kind of dragged him out. And then of course he was hospitalized. He had to kind of recover, right? But he lived on and he told this tale of how these gray aliens are real and they're underground all around the world, and it's kind of bizarre, right? And a lot of you probably don't even know the exact details, but I would highly encourage anyone listening to this to look into the story of Phil Schneider. You should be able to find at least a couple videos of him. If not on YouTube, you can go on BitChute or you can go on Google. Although even Google kind of buries him, right? It makes it difficult to research about him. You can go on DuckDuckGo browser or Tor or something similar, but kind of pushing on. Phil Schneider, he went after this encounter, he kind of recovered, right? And he went on to tell his tale and to kind of disclose more information about these extraterrestrials on Earth and how they're actually here and how they're conducting experiments and various other things. He was kind of specifically mentioning a lot about their bases that are underground, deep underground, all around the world. And he was kind of also bringing up how they're doing genetic experiments, they're abducting people, and they're splicing their genetics with ours to create some sort of hybrid race. Because from my extremely limited knowledge of the gray aliens, because he was specifically mentioning them, the gray aliens, right? From what I know, they have some sort of genetic problem. They cannot reproduce naturally, right? So they have to rely on cloning, and they have to rely on incorporating other species' genetics into their own so they can prolong their species, and that's kind of bizarre and very interesting. And what I also know is from the Betty and Barney Hill case that these gray aliens allegedly they come from some star system called Zeta Reticuli. Zeta Reticuli, which is kind of what Betty, kind of like an old school, an old abductee and abduction person, a person that got abducted or was alleged to get abducted by these creatures. She described how there was a star system in some other type of area, in some other area in the universe, and how these gray aliens originate from that star system, and it's kind of bizarre. Of course, I would also encourage anyone listening to this to also look into the case of Betty and Barney Hill. They're also very interesting. So, but I wanted to kind of onto Phil Schneider, because he also was, again, he was discussing about how these gray alien extraterrestrial species are all around the globe, underground. He was kind of disclosing more about them. He was also mentioning how they've been here for millions of years, and there's various different artifacts that you could come across if you went to the right places, and you could see how these gray alien species were influencing our ancestors and their development, and that's even more interesting. And Phil Schneider kept kind of disclosing more information about them, but inevitably, right, he was found dead with some type of wire wrapped around his neck, and it's kind of bizarre, and a lot of people were suggesting he didn't just feel like committing suicide. And what's interesting is, in a lot of his earlier lectures, he was mentioning how if they claim he committed suicide, it was actually a homicide conducted by them, by the government agents, by kind of the secret forces that control this world. And he really stressed this, right? He did not want to commit suicide. If they claim he committed suicide, it was really someone came after him and killed him, and that's kind of what I believe is true, right? Because he kind of stressed that he wasn't interested in suicide. If they claim he committed suicide, it's really some type of assassination, and that kind of gives more credibility to his case. Because again, he was found dead, and his research was all taken away. He was about to publish a book on this type of phenomenon, and he also had a friend called Ron Pummel, and he was publishing some magazine called Alien Digest, and he was also found dead, shot in the mouth with a gun. And that's even more bizarre. And again, all of this put together really gives more credibility. It gives more validity. It kind of substantiates his claims a lot more, in my opinion, right? Because why would he be found dead for no reason, even though he stressed he wasn't going to commit suicide? If what he was saying was nonsense, why wouldn't he just be left alone to detail what he was saying? Why would someone come after him? That's something you gotta really particularly think about. And also, if you want to kind of get a glimpse of these gray aliens, I would suggest looking up a YouTube channel called Ivan0135. That's something very interesting, and there should be a clip that I'll be playing right now of one of his videos, of some footage of the gray aliens.